On the Entrepreneur this week,
I decided to join entrepreneurship as early as when I was 10. I had to set up an assembly system whereby I would be able to produce as many toys as the demand was.
Then on the second half,
And it was all about how do you remove bottlenecks in the private sector in Kenya? What is holding the country back?
Entreprenuer Prt is basically a mobile lending platform. We partner with SACCOs to provide SACCO members with access to instant loans.
3.5 million tons. That is the amount of solid waste generated worldwide. For many modern cities, waste management has become a thorny issue that they have to grapple with. In Kenya, various solutions have been mooted, but they have come to naught. While his efforts might appear insignificant, Kariuki Kimiti is doing his little part in ridding the environment of harmful waste products. His company, Kimiti Recycling, specializes in the designing and manufacturing of toys and models made from recycled metal, wood, and plastic. His enterprise was born out of necessity.
One thing, I realized that I have the capability to make good toys as early as when I was 10, because my father, a peasant farmer in Nyeri, would not afford for me a toy. And so the interest to have one enabled me to practice and assemble my own toys. And as time went on, I realized that I would, instead of needing to be bought a toy, I would actually sell the toys that I would make to other children and their parents.
In 1999, after retiring from the Kenya Railways, Kariuki established Kimiti Recycling with a startup capital of 150,000 Kenya shillings. With his prototype ready, the former locomotive driver would be pleasantly surprised with the reception his toys generated.
Surprisingly, I realized that toys are not only loved by children, even adults love toys, because working or playing with a toy is a therapy. It refreshes the mind. So I realized that not only children that were interested in my toys, but even adults, mothers, fathers. And the demand was such that I would not be able to make as much as I was required.
Kimiti Recycling has the capacity of churning out more than 5 toys in a week. For the more complicated, Kariuki can assemble 2 in the same duration. Setting out though was not all smooth sailing for the aspiring toy maker. He encountered teething problems due to the nature and size of his toys.
If you look at my toys, they are able to turn like an ordinary steering system of a car, such that a kid can be able to maneuver it like you maneuver your car along the road. And the mechanism to steer was quite difficult to come up with, because as much as it is almost the same to the car, assembling it in a micro size was quite difficult. But I was able to practice enough and come up with a very swift system.
According to research carried out by the leading toy makers around the world, the toy industry would be worth an estimated $8.4 billion by 2020. Kariuki believes that the sector can impact Kenya's economy positively if given the needed attention.
It's a program that, if well researched into, there's a huge market, there's huge interest, and there's also huge employment capability, because what I use is readily available, and what I produce is heavily attractive.
After working for over 10 years with the Kenya Railways, Kariuki, a former graduate of the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology, decided to go into self-employment. This father of 3 was spurred in his decision by the need to settle down and bring up his young family.
I decided to join entrepreneurship because one thing I realized that it was the most comfortable way of working for myself. because I realized that what I was able to make was quite marketable. And having been employed and comparing employment, lifestyle, and the kind of life I would live in business, it was easy for me, because considering that I was traveling a lot while driving trains for Kenya Railways, and here I had the chance to work within my living vicinity, it was easy for me.
The entrepreneur believes that his venture has the capacity of employing more than 10,000 people in Nairobi alone. This fact and the feedback he receives from his customers is what motivates Kariuki not to throw in the towel.
I realized that a talent can grow indefinitely. Then I will not take a chance to stop. And I always say that as long as I wake up healthy, I can produce something better than the day before. And this has encouraged me, because every morning I wake up, I feel that there is a waste product that can be assembled into a very interesting item. So it motivates me on a daily basis.
Kimiti Recycling manufactures a wide variety of toys, from lorries to buses, trains to aircrafts. This is a toy lover's paradise. Prices here are dependent on the complexity of the toys.
I feel and wish that every kid in the world would enjoy a toy, and I wish that I wish that the child who goes away with my toy enjoys most and learns something and appreciates that what they know as garbage at home has become as a product of interest. And my wish is that we would be able to maximally utilize waste to entertain everybody, to entertain all the kids in our school age.
Kariuki may have come a long way in his toy making venture, from working with corn stems to owning his own workshop. Kimiti Recycling is now more than a childhood hobby. Never one to settle, the avid railway junkie is not resting on his laurels.
My future plan is to inject funding into what I have researched on, so that this can become an assembly process, whereby a certain group is making wheels, another group is making the bodywork, the other group is assembling steering systems, then another group is assembling them into toys, such that we may have a production line that can make as many toys as waste can provide, because it is directly proportional. The more we waste, the more we can make. So the more I wish that we may waste, then the more I wish that I can have the funding to open the assembly line.
So what words of advice does Kariuki Kimiti have for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Interest. Anybody who wants to join business must be interested in what he wants to do. One should not force his or her mind into something it doesn't like. And business loves the business person. But the business person must also be able to love the business for them to associate. So what I would advise them is, first of all, not to lose hope, to research a lot on what one intends to get into, and make sure that it is adequately funded so that there is continuity in production in the business, and eventually work hardest, work like you should not stop.
Don't go away, the entrepreneur will be right back.